JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F123, and we are finally back with some league racing content, which I know has been quite some time since I've been doing any league racing videos, and I apologize for that. Still been having a few issues with my PC, which has made things rather difficult, but this is a race I've wanted to upload for quite some time now. This is actually FRL, Flashpoint Racing League Round 4, Saudi Arabia and Jeddah, and I think this is probably the best league race I've done so far on this game. Coming into here, I was second in the championship. It was actually Zelly360 who is the championship leader, and I think the last race I did was, trying to remember, I think it was Austria, where I managed to win that on the last lap. A very, very good race, which I've already uploaded. This one here, I think, can even top that, but you can see in the qualifying we were struggling just a little bit because the setup I'm running here is an extremely low downforce setup, and if you compared my speed at the end of the speed trap compared to the guys in F1 Esports, I was going about 5 to 6 kilometers an hour faster in the speed trap going into the final corner. So yeah, shows that I've really set my car up to be very fast in a straight line. Main reason for that as well is not just a straight line speed, but also your ability to save the ERS, which I think is extremely important in this game, and especially on a track like this where you're flat out for most of the lap. It's quite hard to save the battery, so we are going to be paying the price in terms of downforce, especially in this sector 1 where I lose quite a bit of time compared to the competition. For reference, in F1 Esports they were doing 31.1s, 31.2s. You can see we're doing barely a 31.5 here, so losing almost 4 tenths to half a second just for that sector 1. But then we will be making up on the straights, and this setup was very good on the traction whilst being very fast in a straight line, so I felt quite confident I could save a lot more battery than my competition. So at the start of the race it's going to be very important to try and stay in that DRS train, but once I still can stay in that DRS train, then I feel the longer the race goes on, the more it's going to suit me and my setup. But this lap here was a fairly decent lap. I don't think I really could have gone much faster than this, maybe a 10th and a half at the absolute max. So coming across the line, it's not going to be in the 125s, it's going to be a 26.130.
That's the maximum I can do.
As you just heard me say there, that was a maximum I could do. I think it pretty much was. I don't think there's any chance of pole. Maybe P2 on a very, very good lap, but that was enough for 5th place on the grid. We're going to start on the medium tyres here because we don't want to be undercutted. So as the 5 outs go out, we get a really poor start. So again, with this downforce I was running, very difficult to get off the line. But you can see we're almost going 3 wide into this tail 1 here. So I had to try and navigate that, try not to make any contact with anyone else. But managing to maintain, or I think we've even gained a position going through into that tail 1. So staying in 4th place, and now really the goal here is just to keep the front runners as much as I possibly can. So I think my championship rival, Zelly360, who is an absolute rapid driver in this game, I believe he's on the controller as well, which is absolutely insane. Zelly360 and CPI JB behind me, I think are probably 2 of the fastest PlayStation drivers in terms of the time trial leaderboards. They are extremely fast, usually in the top 5, if not in the top 10 worldwide, even when comparing against PC runners. So they're very, very fast. You can see JB is running on the soft tyres behind me, so I wasn't really going to fight this too hard. It's obviously on the mediums, a slow compound tyre, no real point wasting my battery at this stage. So it looks like Jamie is going to be using his battery here, and we're not necessarily going to fight this, so we're just going to let him have this position, because if we can save him up until the pit stops, then we should be having a little bit of an advantage in the race. Because Carl 24 goes super, super deep into so on. So I use this as an opportunity to maybe get a few cars in. You can see just a straight line speed I have, even when we're all using the overtake. But look how much faster I am. So I go through the middle, 2 cars, and go into someone 3 abreast, but we managed to somehow get 3 cars on that straight. And now Zelly360 up ahead of me, my championship rival. It is absolutely crucial that I stay within his DRS zone. So you'll be able to see in this first sector, he was running much higher wings than me, so he's going to be very good in sector 1, but sector 2 and 3, that's where we should be making up ground. So you can see, just going through this first sector alone, we've lost about 2 to 3 tenths of a second. So it's absolutely essential now that we try and stay within this DRS zone. So we're going to be using quite a bit of the battery, but we probably use quite a bit of that battery going into that turn 1. And looks like he didn't really use that much himself. So go through into here. You can see again, if you look on the delta, he is pulling away quite a bit, but in a straight line, you can see we're bringing that time back down again. And this is where Zeddy is particularly strong. If he gets a bit of a lead and he's out of the DRS zone, then normally it's actually quite hard to catch him. So like I said at the earlier stage of this video, really important that we stay within the DRS zone. And you can see it's just fluctuating between within a second and just over a second, already down to about 30% of the battery. So I knew that his battery would be running out a bit quicker than mine, so I was really hoping that his red light would be flashing soon. You can see he's still using that battery, so the gap is about 1 second. Under a second now, but we're not going to get DRS until the middle sector. So in this first sector, this is where he's probably going to be putting away quite a bit. So using the battery here, but I think we make a bit of a mistake for his left-hander. Didn't do that particularly well, so when a bit did, just killed and lost all that momentum. And you can see in the delta, he's probably going to be pulling over a second, making a bit of a mistake again, going through this right-hander. So this has not been a good lap so far. And you can see again, over a second now. The car behind is about a second behind me. So coming through into here, this is where he should be making up some time again. The detection point is on the exit of this right-hander, then going into the left. Got to be making up a little more than a tenth through here. I think say bashing that wall on the left-hand side. A really scruffy couple of corners here. We're going to be checking to see if we got damage. And yeah, we are on 2% of the battery. But you can't quite see from here watching this video, but his red light was flashing, so I knew he was using all of that battery as well. So we just got to hope our race pace can be enough. But you can see CPR Jamie behind. I decided to really let him go because he's going to be on the faster compounder tyres, so I'm not going to be fighting this whatsoever. Try and use him to catch him. You can see Zeddy's light is flashing, so we're both underneath this 10% of the battery. But I knew now he didn't have any battery left to use, so my race pace with this setup I felt was much better with the lower downforce. So I'm going to try and use Jamie to save a bit of this battery and then get back within the DRS of Zeddy. But you can see Zeddy is 1.6 seconds ahead. Jamie hasn't quite got within his DRS of yet, but I think that is just about to change. Volcano's trying to go around the outside of the lead because he is on these soft compounder tyres, so if he wants his strategy to work, he's really got to try and make that successful. But you can see again in a straight line very fast. Has Jamie got the DRS now? No, he still doesn't have that DRS, so we're just going to stick behind him, but his red light is flashing. So again, you can see everyone is struggling with the battery around this circuit. So we're on lap 5 here, and as we skip on a little bit further on into this race towards the end of lap 5, you can see the gap is now 2 seconds to ZD360, so it looks like he is actually pulling away slightly. You can see how much battery we've been able to save. So Jamie, his red light is still flashing. That just shows the power of the low wings we have. We are much more efficient in a straight line, so we can save so much more of this battery, getting this move done. And now, I believe Zeddy was still having his red light flashing, so we have about 10% more ERS than him. And if you look at the delta on the top left-hand side of the screen, you can see how much we're gaining in the straight line. We don't even have the DRS. His red light is still flashing, so yeah, we're in a pretty good position here. Using a bit of ERS, you can see on the straight again how much we're gaining in a straight line. Just our car is an absolute rocket ship going down the straight. So 1.4 seconds. As we skip on to lap 7, the gap has come down again. You can see we've been using all of our battery because I've been very desperate just to try and get within this DRS zone. But you can see Cucumber up behind me. Who's got the DRS on me? I think he had a little bit more battery than me at this stage of the race, so I'm not going to fight that position too hard. You can see we're almost within a second. His red light is flashing as well, so it looks like he's trying desperately to try and stay out of my DRS. We're not going to fight this with Cucumber, and we're just going to use him again to get within the DRS of ZD360. His red light is not flashing, so he's been able to save a little bit more battery throughout this race, and now you can see he should be able to get within the DRS zone of Zeddy up ahead. and then that means we get the DRS on him. So you can see we've been able to save a little bit more battery. Looks like they are squabbling for the lead already. And you can see with the lap or two, we've already managed to gain about 20% of the ERS, and if I was running the same wings as them, I'd probably be on about 12 to 15%, so it's quite a significant amount you can save. You can see his red light is still flashing, so we still have about 20% more battery than him, which is going to be a big thing towards the end of this race. So we're not going to squabble too much here. You can see we're sitting back, and you can see just a lap or two later, we're up to 50% of the battery. So we've saved almost half the battery in just a few laps. That is something you would not be able to do with the high downforce. So let's see if any of these guys' red lights are flashing as we're going into this turn one. We're actually going to make a move on Cucumber, go down the inside here and try and use the outside line just to be the second man in this DRS train. And we get this move done because the traction with this setup was very good. And if you also like to use this setup, make sure you click join to join my YouTube membership, join my Discord link in the description, because I've uploaded all of my league racing setups in there. And you can see again, the battery is now up to 65%, so managing this very well, not using the battery at all. You can see we've even just turned off the DRS here, so we don't even need to make this overtake happen. See, go get some really good traction on the exit of this corner. See, his car was squirming around just that little bit, so now we're going to use the DRS. Are we going to make a move going into this turn one? And you can see we're just turning off that DRS again, so we're just too fast for our own good in this straight line. And now the battery's up towards 70%, which I believe at this stage these guys are around me, they're on about 20-30%, so you know, we're in a pretty superior position battery wise. 73% of it here. I don't know if we're going to be pitting this lap, but you can see again in the straight line with that DRS, it is just an absolute rocket ship. So I actually go around the outside because I plan to pit this up. So instead of going for an overcut, I wanted a bit more of a track position because I felt very confident in my pace. So we're actually going to pit this up now, so we're not going to get undercutted whatsoever. So I felt like even with older tyres towards the end of the race, my straight line speed was just so good. I just need to make sure that I am really ahead on track position rather than trying to catch someone. Because I think if I lost the DRS to these guys, they would probably have enough downforce to pull away in sector 1 or 2. But if as long as I'm within the DRS, then I'm able to save so much more battery. And I think I'm just too fast in a straight line for them to really defend against. So we decided to pit a little bit earlier. So we're not the ones going to get undercutted. I'm going to come out in P11 here, ahead of this guy, Andrew, who I think just pitted for medium tyres. So if we skip on to the next lap, see this guy's pitted up ahead of me, the medium runner's still behind me, and managed to do a little undercut on Cucumber. Looks like Zeddy has still stayed out, which is something he really likes to do, but you can see almost crashing out of the race here. So a little bit of an incident in turn one, and somehow we just managed to stay at last minute and avoid it, living to fight another day. You can see Cucumber is 1.5 seconds behind with a lap fresher tyres. And as you can see, that medium runner did overtake us. He's on the faster compound right now, but I think as this race goes on, the hard tyres should be the superior tyre. So you can see with this DRS in a straight line, using a little bit of the battery here and getting this move done up into P3. And you can see Carl and Volcano, who did pit just 2 to 3 laps before me. You can see they've got a pretty big undercut, but with the freshness of these tyres, I was quite confident that we should be catching him towards the end of this race. So coming through here, just not trying to waste any of his battery now. Cucumber is very fast on the race pace, so I really wanted him to overtake me, and then I could just kind of follow him up to this train with Carl and Volcano in P1, P2. So I was really hoping Cucumber could dispatch of the medium runner here, and as we go through these corners, I believe he does exactly that. See, the gap is 4 seconds, but having 2 lap fresher tyres around here is actually going to be quite a big difference coming towards the end of the race. So coming to lap 17, see, we are closing in on those leaders now, but Cucumber is right behind me, and I'm not going to fight this at all. I'm actually just going to leave the door open and just charge up my ERS, so I'm going to easily be able to stay with him in the DRS zone, but then I'm going to be able to save so much more of this battery. So the plan was to use him to get up to the front of the pack, and then to have a lot more battery than everyone else. And Zeddy, who pitted quite late, has been undercutted quite a bit, and he's about 3 to 4 seconds behind. You can see in the straight line again just how fast we are, so we're going to have to turn off that DRS very, very early. But if we skip onto lap 23, you can see here, back up to over 50% of this battery. You can see Zelly has closed in along with the Mercedes behind. But again, we're just so fast in a straight line. If I just use my overtake button, they're going to be wasting so much of their battery, and they just can't make that move. They can't really get the move done in a straight line. So we're just going to save all of the ERS here. Let these two fight it out, because I knew Volcano, who's actually, I think, on the Haas up ahead as well, his red light is flashing, so I knew we had about 40 to 50% more ERS than him. And you can see at this stage of the race, we're still not using this battery, because we felt quite confident in the straight line. So even with these guys having the DRS, look at the straight line speed, closing in very, very quickly. So taking a nice wide line. You can see Volcano, the leader, his red light is flashing. But I knew this is a stage where I need to kind of really plan my attack. I need to be the second man in this race, second place man in this race, starting the last lap. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard to get this move done. So go around the outside. Carl had to brake really, really early. We're going to get this move done with the fresher tyres and the traction. Get this move done up into third place. And now we still have close to 50% of this battery left. So I knew in my mind exactly where I wanted to overtake to try and win this race. It's going to have to be going down into this last corner. So I've got to try and follow Cucumber through. Make sure we get past Volcano at the same time he does. Otherwise, he might be a little bit too much of an obstacle and then would be holding me up just a little bit. So coming through into here, we've got to be as close as we possibly can. We know the Aston Martin of Volcano is going to be very, very slow in the straight line since he's underneath 10% of his battery. So go through here, you can see the lack of downforce. We are losing some time. Going to be using a little bit of that battery, but then turn it off very, very quickly. Want to be saving as much as we possibly can coming through into this last lap. And you can see again, closing up on the leader here. So what do? Do we use a little bit of the battery? I think, yeah, just a little bit just to get ourselves a bit closer, but then turning it off again. And you can see his red light is flashing, so we're not going to overtake him here. I knew I'd have enough pace to overtake him going into his turn one, so choosing the racing line. Let him have this corner. Switch back on the exit. Now I'll be going using it, and you can see the difference in the straight line speed, even though he's got the DRS. Just because he's underneath 10% of that battery, you can see how much he's losing in the straight line. So we're going to start this lap with 30%. Cucumber's red light is flashing, so we know we had 20% more battery than him. And all I have to do is just stay relatively close, and I felt very confident of this race win. But as we come through this first sector, this is a very, very scruffy first sector, so you can see this isn't too bad. But as we come through this next right-left, and going to this one, not too bad for this right, but he kissed the wall and really upsetting the car. He's got 7/10 of a gap going through into sector 2, which is quite a big gap. And he's probably going to be making up time here because he's got more downforce and he's got the fresher tyres. So the gap is almost up to 0.8 of a second. That's a lot of time that we need to find. Coming through into here, do we do this quite well? Yes, we do. We do it really, really well. Coming through this corner. Now we've got the DRS here, so we've got 3 more DRS zones to use. So we actually turn off the battery. He is underneath 10% DRS, but look at that delta. Look how quickly we're closing in a straight line. Exit of this corner. What do? So we use a little bit of the battery, but then we turn it off because we know coming in the exit of this last corner, we're going to be so much faster in a straight line. So the detection point is up there. What's he going to do? He's not even going to defend. He's actually going to let me have this DRS zone. But the thing is, we have so much more battery in him, it doesn't matter. On the exit of this corner, you can see we're just going to pull away because he's got nothing to absolutely use. And we're timed that to absolute perfection. Cue headphone users there. Sorry, I didn't say that before.
Let's fucking go.
But we timed that to absolute perfection. And a bit scruffy with the laps, but in terms of managing the battery, planning those overtakes, I don't think we could have done any better than that. And sometimes, even when there's not a full grid of drivers, it does actually provide sometimes the most intense races that I've ever done in my history of league racing. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that, and I will be catching you very, very soon. Peace.